Everyday Life
is brought to you by StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV. My name is Idris Matu and this is Everyday Life. Now, there is what they call the informal sector. This is a gray area in the economy where most businesses are not taxed by the government. Now, the informal sector employs over 70% of the labor force in Uganda. Last year, the Minister of Finance, together with URA, put in place measures to make sure that they tap more of taxes in this informal sector. Now, most of us who work in corporate companies, we are thrown into a frenzy when we were told by HR to go and get our TIN numbers, if I could say TIN, tax identification numbers. Now, today in studio, I have people from URA who take our money to tell us more about the tax identification numbers. Now, I have Stella Oguti, Manager Domestic Duties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I have Bambale Herbert, Tax Officer.
Thank you, Idris.
How is the morning?
It's good.
You have money?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You have money. So, Stella, today we are talking about what they call the tax identification number.
Yes.
Most of us Ugandans do not know these things. We hear TIN, 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 TIN. What's a tax identification number?
Idris, a tax identification number is to URA what a bank account number would be to the bank. Okay. So a tax identification number is it's a unique identifier for URA to be able to identify the taxpayers on its register. Yes, so a tax identification number is unique to the taxpayer. You have a tax identification number. I have a tax identification number. Yes.
Where, how do I get a tax identification number?
Thankfully, you can actually very easily get this tax identification number. We have an online platform on ura.go.ug and also through our service centers. It is a very easy process to get.
All
yes,
right.
A very
Now,
easy process.
Stella, before we actually get into the details, I know later on we shall be looking at how you go online, and I'll ask the director to take that off in a minute, so that we probably first go to understand what is the importance of a tax identification number. Because most Ugandans will claim and say, hey, they take our taxes, hey, they do this, hey, they do that. So why am I even bothered on getting a tax identification number?
Yeah. Now, you need a tax identification number to be able to transact in business with Uganda Revenue Authority. You will not be able to pay your taxes or file your returns if you do not have a tax identification number. So anytime you need to transact with URA, you must have a tax identification number. And also, you may not want to transact with URA. You might need services other places. For example, you might need a trading license or some sort of permit. You will be required to have a tax identification number. So it is important, if you must transact with URA, if you have to pay some kind of taxes, import duty, any customs duties, withholding tax, VAT, pay as you earn, you must have a tax identification number.
Oh, wow. Among the taxes you've talked about, and I'll take this question to Harvard.
Yes.
If I am acquiring, let's say, a motor vehicle, do I need a tax identification number?
Yes, most definitely, yes.
And how does that work? How does a tax identification number help me when I'm acquiring a car?
Okay, just like Stella mentioned, a tax identification number enables one to pay tax. So when you're importing a car, you will need to pay import duties. That includes import duty, VAT, withholding tax, and this vehicle has to be registered in your names. So for one to be able to have a vehicle registered in their names, they need a tax identification number.
Okay.
Because it's a unique identifier, meaning a vehicle is mapped to only you as an individual. So it must be in your names.
So what happens on top of what Herbert has said, once you have a tax identification number, having that 10-digit code number is not enough. So once you have the tax identification number, the next step is creating an account with URA. So whenever you when you receive that email from URA saying that you have that this is your tax identification number, they'll also give you a code so that you can go to our portal, our website, and be able to create an account. Once you have an account, it is similar to creating an account, let's say on Gmail. That means you'll have a password. So that password is very important to you. So the TIN in itself is good. It shows that you are registered with URA. Now, in order to have more control over that TIN, you have a password. It is similar to the way a customer in the bank has an ATM card and then has the PIN.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So now, in the scenario of the motor vehicle, once you need to register a motor vehicle, so you will need a TIN, then you need to create an account on the URA portal and then have your account. And once you have your vehicle registered with that white logbook, then now that vehicle is an asset in your account, just like you have money in your account. So that password is very important. You cannot just give it to anyone, because the person who holds the password has access to that account. That means he can transfer that motor vehicle.
Hey.
Yes.
We shall be talking about fraud later.
Yes.
But now I know that tax identification number is like my ID,
Yes.
like my account in a
Yes.
bank, and also I need a password which acts as a PIN to my tax identification number.
Exactly.
But then, who requires a TIN? Because a tax identification number, does a child in secondary school require a TIN? Does my jaja in Kabali require a TIN? Who requires a TIN?
You will need a TIN if you are an employee, therefore you have some form of employment income. You will need a TIN if you are a business person, you are trading, or you have some form of business activity, you will need a TIN. And this is because in your day-to-day activity with URA, you'll be required as a business person or with a person who owns a business, you'll be required to file your returns, to make payments, to request for refunds if you have to, so you need a TIN. But also, especially today, my purpose is to reach out to the employees because of the stampede that has been going on, because the URA made that communication that all employers should ensure that their employees have TIN.
Yes.
And the response has been very good. But I want to just let the employees know how important it is for them to have TINs.
All right. If you have just joined us, we are talking tax identification numbers. Now, most of us who work in corporate companies, maybe own a business, or you're a border guy, or you sell any goods of any kind, you need a tax identification number because you have to pay tax. And the tax identification number serves as your, let's say, an ID or account number in a bank. And the good thing about the tax identification number is that URA gives you a password. Therefore, you are able to control what goes in and out.
Actually,
in a simple way.
URA doesn't give you that password. You create it yourself.
You create yourself.
Yes,
oh,
you create
wow.
it yourself.
Amazing.
Yes.
I've just been corrected that you create your own password, so you know. So URA has no whatsoever access to your tax identification number.
Exactly.
Now, how do I get a tax identification number?
It's actually not very complex. It is an online platform.
Okay.
So what you need is a computer and internet connectivity. Once you have that, wherever you are, whether in the country or outside the country, you can log on to our website, ura.go.ug, and then you will go, as I'm going to demonstrate, yeah, you'll see how it is very easy.
So, is it only online? The application only happens online?
Yes, right now it is only online.
I cannot go to URA offices and they help me?
Yes, now, the application process is online. However, we appreciate that not everybody has access to a computer and internet connectivity. So for that category of people, you can walk into any of our service stations or service offices, and there'll be a computer and somebody to help you make that application, but it must be online.
It must be online.
Yes.
So, okay, so it has been established that you have to apply online.
Yes.
One more question, and I'll go to you, Herbert.
Yes.
Now, is there a particular computer I have to have, or any computer works?
Well, thank you, Idris. When it comes to computers, we only look at the operating system. Any computer can work, but there are some operating systems that we are not compatible with, especially the MacBooks. Those, we have what we call macros in our Excel templates. So for MacBooks, as for now, we are not able to work with it. So if you're to apply for a tin, you need to use Windows for now. But with time, we shall keep on upgrading our system to enable MacBooks also access the same.
So I can only use a Windows machine.
Yes.
It can either be a laptop or a desktop.
Yes.
All right. No. So now, we have established that you have to have internet access. You have to be using a Windows machine. You mentioned Excel.
Yes.
Now, Excel is a software,
Yes.
I understand, a document software.
Yes.
Is that a must that I have to have it on my computer?
Yes, that's a must to apply for a tin, because our tin application, the application form is in Excel form. So you have to download it and fill in all your details. Then after you upload it. So it must, the computer must have an Excel application on it.
Excel, Windows, Internet. I can use any browser, any internet browser.
You can use any browser, but most preferably Mozilla and Google Chrome.
Okay.
Yes,
Stella.
Idris, just to add on to that, one major issue that our taxpayers face when that we would like to, maybe I can mention at this point, is that Excel sheet, once you download it, there's a function that you must do. You must enable macros. This means that in order for you to be able to properly use that Excel sheet, you must be able to have access to the formulas and the settings in the Excel sheet. So therefore, you must enable the macros. The operating system will ask you, do you want to enable macros? You must say yes, enable macros. Enabling macros means that now, okay, all the formulas and the settings in the Excel sheet will be able to work. And once you have saved that Excel sheet and open it again, you receive a message saying, do not cut and paste. What in effect it's telling you is that now the settings have been, the formulas are okay on the Excel sheet, and therefore please do not cut and paste, because cutting from one cell and pasting another one means you're actually cutting and pasting the formulas from one to another.
All right.
We shall see later.
Well, if you don't know, countries run on taxes. They are supported by taxes, the taxes you pay. And URA says you have to have a tax identification number to kind of identify the taxes you as an individual or as a company or as any kind of business, an employee, you pay the taxes, and that tax identification number is what identifies the taxes that you pay. Now, we are just going to go through how you can apply for your tax identification number. They say that you can apply this online. And Stella,
Yes.
what is the website we go to?
We go to ura.go.ug.
ura.go.ug. I'll ask the director to kind of pull up, now that is the website.
That is the website, yes. So that is ura.go.ug.
And that's the way it looks.
Yes.
Don't get confused when you go to other sites. So, what is the next thing you do when you get to the website?
How about you can continue?
Yeah, the next thing you have to go to e-services
Yes.
on the home page. Then it opens and you go to individual registration.
All right.
Individual
Individual registration.
Individual
please.
registration, because we are now
You're
an individual.
Ah.
Can we pause there and maybe make
Let's
a
pause.
point?
Let's pause a little bit.
Yes.
Now, you say individual tin. I was about to say tin number.
It's okay.
So it's an individual tax identification number. Are there different types
Yes.
of tax identification numbers?
Yes, we have two categories of tins. There is a category of the individual. The individual, that is the natural person, like me, like you. So if that natural person, if I want a tin, I will go and get that individual tin. Then there is the non-individual tin. That is for the legal person. The legal person might be a company, a trust, or a local government. That is a legal person. So that person will apply for a non-individual tin. The difference is that in the individual tin, you're just asking for my details and maybe any other business that I have. While the other one is unique to the legal person and the issues that will be interested
and
in.
companies.
Yes.
So the non-individual tax identification number is for companies, businesses, big businesses.
Yes.
And also the individual tax identification number is for me.
Yes.
Who has a boda somewhere, who is selling tomatoes.
Who's running, who is an employee.
Who's an employee.
Or is an individual with a business.
Okay.
The sole proprietor. Yes. That
All right,
is,
so
yes.
we've gone to the website, which is ura.go.ug, and we have chosen e-services.
Yes.
And then you choose individual.
Yes.
Team.
Now, when you're going to choose that individual team, you have two options.
Yeah.
To choose two forms, because you go to the area where you're choosing the form. So the system will ask you to choose, is it a new form you want? Are you applying for the first time? Or are you returning? Meaning that you had visited our website before, you had opened a form before, but you are probably not able to complete it. So if you had done that, then you'll choose the next option. That means you are a returning person and you want to look at the previous form you had looked at.
All right, so we choose new form.
New form, yes.
We are newcomers.
Yes, we want
have
the
never
team.
had a tax identification number.
Yes.
All right, so after choosing the new identification number, what happens next?
So when we choose the new form,
Yeah.
it has to take us to another page that will enable us to download the template.
Okay.
Yes,
So
please.
so when you choose the new form,
Yes,
it provides the new form which you download,
which we download.
which is in Excel,
Sure.
the one we talked about.
Yes.
Now you download that form in Excel. We are selecting a new form.
New form.
Okay.
Yes. Then we shall that's the page we shall go to, and then you
select
decide. Yes.
tax identification, then
Individual.
that's how you download. Remember, viewers, you have to have Excel number one on your computer. It has to be in Windows, not Mac, because Mac is not compatible with your systems. Yes. And you also have to have internet access. Don't start going to computers when you don't have internet. So we have downloaded the form. We have the form. We start filling in the form.
Not
Yes.
yet. Not yet.
Not yet? After
Not yet.
saving the form?
So we have opened the form, we have enabled macros. That's very important. You've enabled the macros and you save it. You have to save the form the way it is. Do not try to change the name.
The description, the video that describes how we do this? All right, so that is Excel.
That is our Excel form sheet opening up.
Okay, so that's the sheet.
Yes.
That's the form.
So now up there you'll see the prompt for you to enable macros. So yes, you enable the macros.
You enable the macros.
Yes.
Now this is the form. You start. He has enabled the macros. Now, what kind of information am I filling into the form? What are you asking? Are you asking for me where I was born,
Yes.
how much money I have? What kind of information should I expect? Because I know we don't have enough time to go through each and every
everything.
question, but what kind of questions should the viewers expect when they're applying for the tax identification number?
Yes, thank you, Idris. Basically, the information we are requiring you to fill in is just about you, your names, where you come from, your mother's name, your father's name, your phone number, your physical address, where you stay, your home address, your employer, your employer's team. At a point, we shall require a referee, someone who already has a team. Who can be your referee. Yeah, then your identification documents and their numbers.
What kind of identification documents am I using here?
Idris, before we go to the identification documents, I just wanted to point out something. Some people always ask us, why do you want my mother's name? Why are you asking about my father's name?
Are you spying on me?
Yes, why do you need with my mother's maiden name? And that is just so that we are able to differentiate you from another Idris out there, you know? Because what are the chances that there is another Stella Oguti there with the same mother's name and the same father's
with
name
a
and
brother
the same,
called Idris
you know? Yeah, so that is just so that we are able to know that you are who you are for sure. Yes.
All right, so the documents. You said I need documents.
Yes, please.
Identification documents. What kind, Stella?
we need, we would really like to have those documents that are issued by government. For example, voters ID, if we can have your national ID or driver's license, but also for employees, anybody who is applying for TIN as an employee, we would like to see your employer's ID as well. But every time you're applying for TIN as an individual, we want 2 forms of IDs, 2 forms. So it could be your national ID and your driver's license. And if you're unemployed, it could be your national ID and your employer's ID. We have cases where people have been newly recruited and they do not have the IDs yet. And that is fine. So what we need is some kind of maybe your contract letter or appointment letter or some kind of documentation showing that indeed you are employed by that company.
So I am a footballer and I belong to a village team and we have IDs. Does my ID work? Does it apply?
First of all, you most likely have a national ID and you most likely have a village ID. The village IDs were very common before we got this national ID. So you most likely have a village ID as well.
Yes.
Or you have a, now we have scenarios of people who do not, before the national IDs, people who do not have most of the other IDs. So in those cases would accept maybe the village ID, and at the very worst way, if it's someone in the village does not have any other form of ID other than the village ID, would accept maybe your bank statement. Because that would show us at that time that indeed you are known, at least to the bank. Yeah, you are known. So we would accept that as a kind of
so I have my IDs, I've filled in the information. Now the form, where does it end? What could be the last question, just for teaser's sake? Director, could we have the video again that shows us applying for? All right, so that is the form. It has section A up to section C, I think.
Up to schedule 1 to 4.
Okay. So I'm done. I've filled in all the forms.
Okay.
What do I do next?
So once you're done, when you go to the last bit of it, we have a button called validate. So validation, when you click on validate, the sheet will check whether there are any errors. So if there are no errors, it will ask you to save an upload file, which you can save, let's say, on the desktop, so that when you go back to the website, you can be able to upload it. If there are errors, it will always take you to an error sheet, where it shows you that there's an error in this section, and you go and correct it until it shows you that there are no errors, where you can save that upload file. So once you have the upload file, you get back to the website and upload.
And the issue of the errors is quite usually frustrating to people because maybe they are not following. If you notice, every time you click on a cell, there is a box, a pop-up box, that is actually directing you on how to fill that box. So it's telling you maybe say yes, pick yes or no. Or it is saying fill in the details. Or it is saying do not add any special characters. So if somebody paid attention to that pop-up box that came as you click on the cell, you would have minimal errors.
Oh, wow.
Or no errors at all.
So after I've uploaded my form, I upload it back onto the website?
Yes, you get back to where we downloaded from.
Yes.
Then enter your names and choose that file that we saved as an upload file. Then upload it.
Okay.
After accepting to the terms and conditions. Once you've uploaded, it will display an acknowledgement receipt showing that you have received your application. Then you can print out the form, the submitted form.
That has all my information that I've filled in.
Yeah.
All right.
Plus the terms and conditions. You have a point where you have to print out the terms and conditions, print out the forms, then sign both. Let your referee sign his part. Attach photocopies of your IDs and submit to URA.
Oh.
Idris, when you're filling out the form, there is a point where there are details that we would require from you. For example, You might be, of course, as an employee, you have indicated to us that you are employed. So the system will ask you at some point, is your employer in Uganda? If you say yes, then we shall need that employer's ID. If you say no, then the field will be
empty.
blanked out. Yes, because now your employer is not in Uganda.
In other words,
yes, but also there are people like you and me. For example, Idris, you have probably a supermarket somewhere near your home, yes, or you're running a business somewhere in town. Yes. So you might be an employee, but you have some side business. So we have a provision for you to indicate that you have income.
You have income
yes,
from somewhere else.
From somewhere. So we'll want to know what is the name of that business. Is it registered? It is important to us that you have a registration, that you have registered with URSB, Uganda Registration Services Bureau.
If I have a business, but if I'm just an employee, I don't need to do all the things.
You don't need to, but you need to know that the provision is there for you, so that, because the tin is to one individual, you can only have one tin. So the more information you give on that tin, the better for you. That means that next time, you do not have to get another tin. All the information will be there. Okay. However, the beauty is that once you have that tin later, if today you do not have the business and later you do, you can amend that tin and add on the information that will not be there.
Okay, so if you have just joined us, we are talking tax identification number. Now, the tax identification number is something that every individual should have. If either you have a company or you have a business, you have to have a tax identification number which identifies the taxes you are paying. Now, it's very easy. Applying for one, you just go to our website, URA, which is ura.go.ug, and follow instructions. Go to e-services, then tax identification number. You can either choose, either it's an individual or a non-individual. That is if you have a company. But if you are an employee like me or an employer, you choose what really goes with you. And after filling in the necessary information, print out, sign the document, and then submit to URA. Now, submitting to URA, and I'll go to your habit.
Yes.
Where do I go? Do I go to any offices in the country, or are there particular offices that you should submit this application?
Well, to submit an application, you have to submit to any URA office, any nearby URA service office.
Okay.
Not customs. Service office, and you will be served. The forms will be received, and the process will go on.
How many offices do we have in the country?
We have about 35.
35.
Yes.
Which districts don't have?
Which districts? Most districts do have. And the major towns, most major towns have. What we do is we have jurisdictions. So we have, like in northern Uganda, we have the main place.
So each region has at least a main office.
Yes, the Gulu is the main one. Then there's Kwitgum, Lira, and all the other ones. Then we have southwestern, we have like Mbarara, we have Shenyi, Kabale. So in most districts, yes, we do have.
Okay, Stella, I'll come to you. So I'm done submitting my documents. I've filled in the information. Everything is done. I've gone to URA offices. I've submitted my file. How long does it take for me to get my tax identification number?
The process time for you to get that tax identification number is 2 days, 24 hours. It can go as short as 2 hours. Actually, it can go as short as 2 hours. But the process time right now is 24 hours.
24 hours.
Yes.
2 days, and I get my
and you
tin.
get your tin. Yes.
How do I get it?
After you have submitted that document to the URA office, now we have now the officers whose job is to make sure that the information is okay, that you've given us the information that we require. They will do their due diligence to make sure everything is okay. If everything is okay, that the tin will be approved to be generated, and then you will get a tin certificate.
Okay.
A tin certificate. Once you have the tin certificate, you will get a notification on your email that you provided, telling you that now you have a tin, and this is how you should create an account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then you go ahead, you create an account, and have your password.
Okay.
Yes.
So now that I have my tin, and I'll go to Herbert on this.
Yes.
For most of us, we realize that the awareness of having a tax identification number was last year, because many employees were like, "What? What's that? What's TIN? What number? What do I need?" Are these new numbers? Is the tax identification number a new thing, or it has been there before?
Well, a tax identification number has been there before. Maybe in the past, before rolling out e-tax, we used to issue out different kinds of T numbers with figures and some letters, alphanumeric.
Okay.
But when we rolled out e-tax, we now have a 10-digit number with only numbers, no numerics, no letters, just 10 numbers, and it has been there since 2010.
2010.
2009, 2010, the 10-digit number.
For about 7 years now.
Yes. So it's not something new.
So the old tax identification numbers, how different are they from the new one, Stella?
The major difference is that the other ones were manual. Well, there was a manual application, you had to fill a form, and then you'd get a card that would indicate that this is your TIN.
So you'd move around with the card,
yes,
like an
yes,
ATM?
Yes, it would be a card. That would show that this is my TIN. But now, and also that you needed to go to the URA office to apply for that
physically.
TIN. Yes, it was a little tedious at that time. But this one was the new system is better because
Much
it's an online
easier.
platform. Yes, you can access URA wherever you are. You find that most people do not even need to come to the URA offices. The majority of the people do handle all their transactions in the comfort of their offices.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
He mentioned something about the old numbers having numerics and alpha. Are they the same number as the new ones? Because I realize the new ones are 10 digits.
Yes.
What of the old ones?
The old ones were about 13 digits. But once we phased out the old one and moved to the new one, the new ones are systems generated. They're randomly generated. So it's highly unlikely that you can determine what my TIN would be. Yes, they're just randomly generated.
Do the old ones still apply, Herbert?
The old ones, no, they no longer apply. So whoever has an old one has to apply for a new one.
Oh, wow.
However, what we did is that we still have information in the old TIN, or we have the documentations, the registry where we keep the old TIN in case we need to refer to it.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, we are talking tax identification numbers, and right about now you have a chance to call in and ask a few questions about tax identification number. If you have one, if you don't have one, we have just showed you how to acquire a tax identification number and how easy it is. All you need is internet, a computer which is on Windows operating system, Excel, and a little bit of information giveaway, and you have a tax identification number. Now remember, you have to pay taxes. People who don't want to pay taxes, we shall look for you. We shall hunt you down. It's only a joke. But you will have a chance to call in. But before they call in, there is talk. There is talk about tax identification fraud. Because I know, fine, I'm going to receive the tax identification number. It's my personal number, identification. But can't I be duped? Can someone else use this card, this number, to do some wrongdoings?
Yes, Idris, we've been having issues of tax identification number fraud. Where it comes up from is that, of course, there are people out there who will try to access your information without your knowledge, who will try to take advantage of you probably because you use their services. But the majority of times where we've had tax identification number fraud, it's because of the people who are offering services on behalf of their clients. Maybe you call them tax agents or consultants. These are people who will tell you that it's very difficult, impossible for you to get a TIN. Let me do it for you. So they will do it for you. They'll help you do that simple process that we have done, and they will charge you money for it. And then the only problem is that now they have your information. They have your email address, they have your birth date, they have your telephone numbers. So it is very easy for them to access your
whatever information you have.
Yes, you have. So because you might not know the implication of it all, you will leave everything to that person. So he will even generate your account for you with URA and create the account for you and even get the TIN, I mean the password, on your behalf.
So literally you're sharing information.
You're sharing your PIN with
You know, I
somebody.
would understand where this problem is coming from, because internet use is a new thing in Uganda, and most of our relatives back there in Luwero, in Kabale, Mbara, Arua might not have access to internet and probably a computer, or even differentiate between a Windows operating system or a Mac, yeah, OS. And they'll say, I've been told I need a tax identification number.